Oh, I get it, Detective. He was paying for all the events. Yeah, he was in other times. I see, by turning the plug. He went away, came back with the plug, then disappeared again for all time and was broadcasting. The plug turns, breaks space-time. I can't stand it, really. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, the whole script, it was written under a false name. Well, what's the false name, Superintendent? Some ancient old name here named... I'll read it. It says David DePinner. That's a false name. The birth certificate, we found it. Yeah, it was altered. It's scratched in. And it starts in 1897, and this script we found, this piece of music, purports to be a composer, lyrics. Yeah, it's... Well, we've got videos now. Yeah. DNA evidence. But the false person, the persona, yeah, there was this birth certificate. Its identity of this person, just mentioned, it's been separated. Yeah, from another. Well, who's the other? A ghost, a nameless ghost. Flesh and blood, to be sure, but no one, a nobody. Yeah, a Dr. Nobody. See? It's scratched in here. Real name, Nobody. Right, so you're telling me that this false name, David DePinner, that's being used here is just a front. Yeah, I guess he wrote the script. This nobody wrote the script, and he put a false name on it. Maybe nobody faked his death and got out, died on the beach. There's some reference to him seeing a woman in a bikini, a gorgeous woman coming out of the water. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then, well, at least a two-piece bathing costume it is in the 1950s, but a one-piece, a mermaid later. Look, there's a picture of the actress Vera Miles here that was found in the, belongings. Similar to the bears a definite resemblance to the nun in the picture in the frame in the church that we found that's evidence that he went up. Right, but it seems his real name is Nobody. This is a series of lectures on psychology, history of Dr. David James Devine. Videos, demonstrations given by Professor... Well, you will see. The professor gave the lectures and the psychology videos, showed them to a conference over a series of weeks and days and years, finally, on the 3rd of January 2014. Here is the episodes presented and is preserved by the Oxford Dictionary Club, of which I'm a member, and you have so graciously paid your fees to us and may enter at the princely sum of £5. Give you membership cards to see each one and sit through for academics to write theses forever and ever, and ever and have fun. You see, the brain is here. What we do is we completely bypass the brain. Completely bypass it, yes. Yes, that's what we do. And we move down here into the solar plex area and above it up to under the breastplate. There is the area. The Greek oracle, the soul. The soul. Concentrate on it, make your wish, ask, request, and the brain is informed by your soul. Your soul knows. That conference is the crux of my lectures today and in the future. Do you understand? No, 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 yes, yes, yes. Boo, boo. He's so handsome, isn't he? Oh, do concentrate, please, conference. You see, my supposition here and my submission, as you see, conducted by demonstration and video of this guinea pig we have here. Dr. DJ is the designation I've given him for you, conference. You see, the videos explain, and we deduced our theory. Our academics today have drawn these conclusions of psychohistory, psychology, and you can see Freud, Jung, all points on the way, stations of the cross as it were, on this island diagram we went round as we trace this man's brain journey down to his soul through the throat, which was a poetic, Shelley, wild-like expression of science today. You have to understand, draw back from projections, Jung called them. He's a Victorian, Edwardian, expressing type of person. You see? Hence the images. Coffin-like brain. Nobody thinks that way today, of course, but academics in university, like myself, have spent years going through this man's background and voice and come up with this thesis for which I asked for a grant from the government. You charlatan! Fuck off! You charlatan! Well, I must say, from college that bred communists, 1930s, fascists, I hardly expect you to think that I'm radical in any way. Just tried to give you a demonstration here of the Greek idea of Plato's cave and the shadows and androgyny. Nothing new, really, if you read Carl Jung's psychological book of alchemy. You can understand it easily. Ah, fuck off, you stupid old bastard. Now, I've been paid to come here today, so I'm going to try and keep going. You see, what happened here is that bypass the brain, form a channel down here. You see, the brain's informed. The brain is just an avenue. It's just a connection with this Earth's reality. And what you do is you just wish on your heart. You see? Here. This area knows you think with this area. You suspend your brain. You suspend the mind. The mind is the disaster, the conditioned bastard in mythology. See? The illegal child. The illegitimate child. That's what it is. That's why I've deduced from this man's writings and videos and It's Jung's version of the animal. The feminine inside the man. That's what Freud was getting at when he gave his lecture called The Feminine, and everybody sneered and laughed, and for 30 years he was cast outside by the Vienna Austrian Parliament and, well, did his case on Schreber. That's what gave him the answer, the deductions. And that's why I stand to you for here today after doing some research in America and the Deep South. And I had a lectureship over there and a residence in Louisiana. Over here now to do this because it's the answer to the riddle. Jonah was Joan. You see the answer? Jeanne, the French. The French for Joan. The English Joan. Jonah was Joan. You see, what he's saying here is that the Plato idea of androgyny, this man searched and found his other side, his opposite, and there was a union, a united Tantra, like king and queen mythology. Nobody in the scientific world can understand. It's like being a communist. 1930 or 1950 in America, United States. Okay? Now I'm trying to get to this next part here. If you just allow me to take this curtain aside, this black curtain, and show you these pictures, you might get an idea. They're the items of evidence. See, here's a dictionary, and here's a plaque here of an ostrich. An ostrich woman is called her. She's called that designation. Here's a McCready picture. Right, number of letters. Letters we deciphered, decoded, took them apart. Some was done in New Orleans and, as I told you, in the state of Louisiana, and I noticed that after a while the affliction overcame me as I started delving into the research deeper. It was like Ionesco's rhinoceros. I started to become a stutterer and just like the guinea pig in this video, these videos, these series, these episodes, and listen. She didn't play a part in it. She didn't play any part in the court proceedings. She didn't want it. She didn't want it. She just wanted to be left alone. Yeah. That's all. She just wanted to be Anastasia. It was the others, so-called friends, sycophants, who did all the court cases. I mean, were they after money? I don't know, but she wasn't interested. She wouldn't even participate. She wouldn't cooperate. No, with either side. So that gives her a degree of credibility, doesn't it? She had no desire or motive. Anastasia. That's who she was. That's who we're talking about. I see, said the detective. Now I have here the file that we opened up, right? And I was walking around in my white suit, hot day, down in there in Alabama, crossed over the border from Louisiana. Found this dossier. Yeah, intuitive. Inside my stomach started going. I knew I was onto something here. I had all these papers, found them in a railway. Yeah, a detour. Yeah, went off the track. Yeah. Yeah, there was a reference to Anne Savage. Savage she was. Savage Anne. Savage Anastasia. Yeah. I was thinking of Carl Jung's link, trying to get this thesis together, and there was an explanation of, it said the PM's mental failure. I'd gotten used to designations in this dossier. PM, Prime Minister. There was a reference. All it said was P, full stop, M, full stop. And so you're a charlatan! Boo! Get off the stage! Fuck off! Fucking charlatan! Oh, listen to him is better than going to that other stupid bastard's lecture. Alright, okay, right. So the Prime Minister's mental failure. There was a reference, wasn't there? In the front of this dossier, in the opening pages. I suddenly realised I could talk again. Ah, there was the intuition. Yeah, suddenly I saw it. I saw it clearly. This RM initials, Richard Marble, a character of his side, of this Dr. David Devine. A different personality. He'd lived that name, that man's life, that role, for a time. Then there was PM. So he'd been the Prime Minister. So obviously Richard Marble had been a QC who had become Prime Minister. Right, but there was this side of Dr. David Devine. So I did some investigating, and I found, after talking to the detective and superintendent, they looked into the evidence, that there was a false wall, a false back to the wall. There'd been a formula. It had been used. This old Christ idea that had been around for 400 years in the south of France, and it had been applied to Joan of Arc, and many others. This formula, and the royal family in Russia. Of course, the doubles. It's a doubles idea. Also, Iraq. Yeah, that's why there was an expression of shooting all the doubles, because that way you had to get the person who was doubled. Yeah, that was the only way to make sure. This dossier was trying to explain it all. What had happened is there'd been an escape route, a resistance group, and it had been exposed now by this writer of the dossier that I'd found, and I was collecting papers and putting it together. What had happened is that Sir Keith Sampson had covered up. He'd run an escape route at the college for doubles. They'd put the damaged person in the barracks area, it was designated. They'd got him ready. They'd hidden him away as if in the war the resistance had done for the occupied areas' inhabitants from the Nazis. They'd hidden him away as if in a large wardrobe. That's what the barracks were in an analogy. And concealed him. And shuffled the doubles in effect, or moved around the cadets, for example, in Sandhurst, where this was, on parade, so they confused the numbers, the counting, and the disappearance of the person wasn't noticed. He'd hidden in the barracks. He'd been put in this petition joined area when the time came, and hidden in there like an adjoining wardrobe in some houses where bedrooms are linked and there are doors on either sides and a little cabinet area. He'd hidden in there amongst the coat hangers and coats and jackets until the appropriate time, and then been let out on the other side and escaped and been given a false name and faked his death, because that's why the coffin had been said to have contained the body of Mary Cameron. And later Sir Keith swore it was Michael Cameron, because the real androgynous person had escaped. They'd put false evidence, cotton specks of the things she wore, to confuse the investigating evidence and officers. These particular oriented, androgynous persons who displayed this genius, this 1 to 10. 10 had been collected, and had these measurements been deemed to have these measurements had been spirited off by Sir Keith and the Officer Corps of Sandhurst. Brigadier William Williamson, Lady Diana, had all conspired to hide each cadet who was so discovered and exposed. Put in this cabinet area, and then at the appropriate time let out, spirited out, away. Their death had been disguised. They changed their name later. And so the reference to the body in the coffin was a reference really to a double identity that was not the real person. So I came to have to work out what was the composition, the composure of the body in the coffin. What was the flesh? Who was used? The evidence said to trick the inquiry, Sir Keith had put Mary Cameron, a member of the cell, into an asylum and hidden her there. This later came to be exposed as being called Avalon. So she was there and disappeared. The cotton specks of the underwear indicated that it was she who was the body in the coffin. They were twins, Mary Cameron and Michael Cameron. She was deemed to be the victim, the corpse, because she disappeared and wasn't seen again in the asylum 7 years. And Michael Cameron, because he disappeared also and wasn't heard of again, was deemed, it was inferred by circumstantial evidence, and there was no counsel to defend his position, of course. No one was appointed by the court. He was scapegoated. It was just allowed to lead on. But that's how they wanted it. And Michael Cameron was deemed to be the murderer and convicted of Mary Cameron. But it was a perfect escape. Michael Cameron then changed his name, became Richard Marble after plastic surgery. The metamorphosis mentioned in Dossier 2, see the appendix, and he went on to practice law and conduct a profession. He'd been the court-martial lawyer. He had a degree. He then defended Suzanne, who had 2 children. 2 children. I see. And then, you don't think it's really true, do you? Became Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister had originally been Michael Cameron. Unless that was a false name. Dr. David Devine. Self-investigated. Self-injected. The plastic surgery serum. And at this stage I turned the page of the dossier. Audience, you hear that? Conference? I turned the page of the dossier. I say fucking what, mate? God, bloody living in these fucking colonial Australians into Oxford now. I don't know what the hell's going on. Bloody federation out there. Why don't you build your own universities? Oh, a scholarship, mate, from Canberra. Ah, fuck off. I might as well copy the way the bastard talks. At least my English section of my audience is nice and quiet and docile and polite. Anyway, I turned this and I saw this Carl Jung image, this alchemical designation, this legend that he tried to understand of Germany, this fairy tale, Snow White. Right? He had notes next to it, right? Well, go on. Well, he had notes next to it, you see? My God, this is a rabble. Where do you think you're going? Well, just pull yourself together, old fella. Right. XYZ, DNA units. You see? Connected with the Snow White legend, the Black Queen. Right? It's a code, you stupid fool, you pupils. You don't have fucking brains at all, have you? I'm insulted by having you as my audience. God, I'm going to complain to the Dean about this. Bloody audience that at least is a bit useful and at least a bit elitist. That's the trouble with you lot. Bloody Democrats and socialists. That's the trouble with you bloody lot here at Oxford. Fair and equal. Everything's equal. I'm sick of you. Sick of the whole bloody lot of you. Yeah. You're all just collectivists. That's what the trouble is with you all. You're all communists. God, all fascists. Bloody two of you are just the same. Both corporations just running things from an elite, pushing everyone else around, pushing around the individualists. That's what you are. What do you think I am, Ayn Rand? God, I'm out for no harm. That's what I believe in. Indian Philpot. The swastika turned round by that bloody Hitler bastard who hated people and wanted to make us all into rhinoceros. Choked. That's what's going on here. I know what it is. Yeah. Pay attention, you bloody useless bastards. Bastards in the audience, I know what the trouble is with you. You're all a dumbed down, bloody non-academic lot who are just fucked. God almighty, I should speak properly. All this money that's gone into train you, look at you, you're all in debt. 50 grand, a whole lot of you, and you don't even pay attention. Yeah, that's the trouble with you lot. You can't measure up. You're all just nanny-stated. Look at you, you lot of starting from the bar. You're amongst the worst. Done down, it's all just grunt. Excuse me, my lord, I've got a page here I'm going to turn and I'm going to find a reference. What about Patrick Hastings, who was the greatest cross-examiner of England in the... Oh, he's just a old hat. Oh, he's talented, isn't he? Yeah, you see, you bastards, I've given you a clue. Put it before you. You don't understand anything, do you? You cannot apply your minds anymore and chisel away and improve. You need it given to you on a plate and parrot it back. Dumbed down idiots. Boo. Boo. Look at this. It's a turning column. It's the section area in, you see. There it is there. He turned it. The naked woman. And it was a switch. It opened the cabinet. The doors opened and he went into the other area and disappeared. Changed his name. You see? He's faked it. Just like the Russian Tsar's family. They were formula. Doubles. Yes, they invented these doubles who were executed and the whole family got away to Western Siberia. Siberia. Easton. Oh, look at the map, will you? Do some work yourself, you drone, you bat. I've done all the work, I've gone through all this. Doubles were executed, Anastasia said so, and it's a well-known formula. They adopted it since Christ's year. 500, 400 years down to the south of France it's been known. Lincoln designated it in his book. It's just a classic way of people getting out of their persona, the trap, like Jim Morrison did. Yeah, you fake your death, change your name and go off and live somewhere else forever and get away from everyone and take the money you earned with you and get away from them. It's God's grace. All those who did good get the chance to fake their death and get away and live because they're choked to death by sycophants and management. That's why I'm standing here at this desk, at this conference at Oxford and telling you, you bastards and mediocrity creeps. Which I don't believe at all anyway. I'm just trying to tell you so that you change and you try and get somewhere in your life and develop your own skills and not become a parrot for the collective. Get it? That's what this is. I see. Oh. I don't get it really. But there's dots here. What's it say? Oh, turn the next page. Oh, I see, you've done it. So there she was. These are the pictures that he drew. Okay, they're the clue. They tell you. They're the notes. Look at it. There's his writing. Quick, look at it. You fool. You fools. You... Hyena's the name they're taking me. Moira. It's the name they're dragging me. Get quick. Say that. Oh, I see. They come for me.
The only thing left was to assert oneself, to keep going. Faith, belief, in spite of it all. In spite of everything. Keep going. And so it proved. After a storm. I had looked at all the ideologies and all had let us down. Democracy was the best, but the pretense, the lies, full of holes, words, actions, deeds that failed. Communism, fascism, socialism. The individual had been thwarted. This disappointment. Law, the legal system. Shattered me and led to my suicide. It was as if all the hours had appeared, had taken place in the split second of the suicide. I had hung from the rope, seemed to enter the painting as it were. It was the door. It stood before the area that Louise in her house lived. She had shown me the skeletons in the ditch, referred to before. I, the cadets, corpses, mine. All the sills that were of I, a pirate, in all the areas and eras previously, before, and I, the pirate, had broadcast from what it seemed like Mars, as it were, my confession. I mystically had conceived, I had flown out of my case, this mind, this body, this constricted mind in which chains I had been held, entered the door, the mystical door where all had occurred. The painting had turned, and had turned again, and I had returned, a spaceman, as it were, from the area symbolized by 200,000 years, it had seemed. And the rope had been split as I heard the sirens outside at that time, as if from behind, by someone who had freed me, freed the stem, as I hung from the oak, from behind the curtain, and I saw Magdalene healed me. The cough, as the noise outside came closer. Remember? Came closer. In my journey in the brain to the feminine drain, to the feminine brain. Jonah was Joan. That was the solution. That's what it meant. And I came back to the masculine. Me. I. You see? I found it. I found what happened. I found it. I found out what happened. He recorded the play, voices in the house he heard in the lounge. Yes, behind the painting they were. The night the tape went round and round.
Well, how did you know that? They heard me. I've just been in and out the section, the route. Yep. Doors open on this side, doors open on the other side. The light, yeah, I went into the past a shower. Yeah. We're cleansed there. It's Avalon. Avalon's on the other side. It's Mortaza, you fool. Don't you understand? Dad went before us. He's a predecessor. He's the king. Can't you read symbols, alchemical symbols, you fools? In the lecture, I have to kill you all, ambush. Machine gun you all. Pupils. You're pupils. Fascist. Boo. Who's that? That's the Australian one, the New Democracy. They know it all. Yeah, fascist! Boo! Fuck off, you bastard. I told you. What happened? I just did a dry run. A routine. Yeah. That's the path. I found the box at the back of the coffin. False back. It was a false bottom. Yeah, superintendent told me. Well, how did he get onto it? Shut up and keep your head down in that bloody desk you're sitting in. Fine fucking lecturer, aren't you? We should do something about your language. This is Oxford, yeah. It's in the Oxford Dictionary, that's where I got it. I see. Well, the superintendent found it. It's in this brief, this matter here. This brief. The black briefs. Yeah, it's what they were called in the 1950s. It was a selling point, a sales point, marketing. It's supposed to be sexy, right? An analogy, a crossover from barristers to fillies. They called them fillies. Fillies' panties. The black panties were found. Didn't you see the anatomy of a murder with James Stewart? This man, he's used images from the movies. Drawn his conclusion. Yes. Right. The black panties were found. They were left after Mary Cameron's. She went in and out of the corridor of the cabinet. The asylum. That's the way Keith took her. That's the way she went. I see. So you're telling me that this other area, it's designated, it's cell 54. That's the asylum. Area 51, it was designated, but it's been opened and they've moved on further into another area down a corridor, cell 54. We found this film, you see? I see, I get it. Yeah. So that's St Anne's. That's where they were. Acting. I see. Yeah. So he could see. So the curtain drew across in the barracks area, the black curtain where he was waiting, where he was injured, damaging, waiting to go in through the corridor to Avalon. The curtain drew across. They were acting on the other side because so getting it, you're becoming a rhinoceros. Choking, you're spewing out the persona's ingredients, all the muck that's been submitted in by the system, and to find and provide and stuck, and now it's volcanic, it's lava, and getting out, throwing, vomiting, so you can get past it, past the mind to the heart, the soul, and listen, it knows, it's the writing, the tablet. So he was waiting in this area for the resistance, the Keiths, William Williamson, to come in and take him through at the time when the time was right and fake his death and change his name. They'd think he was Mary Cameron and she disappeared. So both had disappeared and both had got away. That's the idea. That's what they were doing. The doubles were in the flesh in the coffin. Well, who was the flesh in the coffin? Well, the prostitute? I'll come to that later. They ripped the black curtain across while he was lying on the stretcher bed being operated on as if in Changi prison in 1942. Sergeants. Right, the mess. He looked up at the DNA in the mirror and the curtain went across and the others who'd gone before him were acting out in a play, a silent play, and showing him, blind, deaf and dumb as he was, blind? He's intuiting, he's reading with his soul. The feminine. That's the Mary Cameron MC code that Jung used, the anima. It's informing him, her. The soul is informing his brain and he's seeing the images on the screen in front of his brain, in his mind. It's projecting up onto the screen. So his soul is orchestrating it all. The chakras, that's the symbol of the shark. All parts of the chakras are igniting down to the top of his thighs. And across the breast, and all of it is electrified. Like Joan, the poem, the test. And it's sending the messages up through the cortex and converting them and projecting them onto the brains. Silver sky, as it were, screen, and it crosses in waves, and he reads. And that's how he knows. So the magnetic flow from the actors and actresses on the other side of the curtain, which is now open, is drawing their images and sound waves to his soul into it and projecting it up so as to inform his mind, his brain, in other words, his unconscious is informing his consciousness through these channels. So everyone who went before, I see. So they're the nurses and the doctors. And that's why the black panties were left. So that we could get on to this feminine idea of the anima. That's it. Okay, Superintendent, where does that get us? Well, what are you doing here? Oh, I've just walked on from left stage. Oh, right stage. Well, it depends if you're sitting in front of the audience and looking up, and it's right stage if you're like a mirror, and or up here and looking back. You know what I mean. Well, what the hell are you doing here, Superintendent? I've come up to Oxford, old boy, and I've come up here and I've come up to put you straight, to put you right. You see? This is a debriefing. Yeah, this man, these people, all of them, this Christ precedent, that's what you're talking about. You're saying that Lincoln said, and it was preserved in the south of France for 400 years, Lincoln and co. said that Christ was Barabbas or a double and taken off the cross or not even executed. What he did was that he offended the Roman state and the Jewish committee or synagogue or whatever it was. Don't you know any history? No, not Jewish. They concealed him. They produced a double. Barabbas. Well, not much good for him, is it? He gets nailed to a fucking cross. Well, I'm just telling you my theory of what happened. It's a precedent. It's created a formula. Right? Christ gets away, goes over to Kashmir, India, fights the revolution over there, defeats everybody, or wins or loses, or lives to be an old man smoking a pipe, moccasins on his feet, for the fire, rocking back and forward, okay, with his wife, right? Busily rushing around the place with a crutch under his arm, chasing after her, trying to rip off her skirt and have sex with her, with her consent, of course, which she never gives, of course. And it goes on until he dies and goes up and sees God. Right? Well, what happens to Barabbas? Well, he's the body in the coffin. That's a bit of a trial, though, isn't it? Because here's Christ in the New Testament, you know, going on about no harm, and yet he's involved in an implied conspiracy to murder Barabbas. All right, okay, it's not Barabbas. Well, if it's not Barabbas, who the fucking hell is it? It's before DNA times, so is it an animal? It's a bit tough on the animals too, because Christ loved the animals too. Yeah, and if you have a look at what happened when he became Prime Minister, this Michael Cameron original, who became... Well, what was his name when he was Prime Minister? Ah, P.M. Mr. P.M. Well, he was tried for... Well, animals were on the jury. For what? His crime. Well, what was his crime? Being Prime Minister? No. Crime, Women and Song by Dostoevsky. Oh, you've gone mad. You've crossed over. You've crossed over culture. You're a crossed over culture question mark. That's what you are, a pirate. Mad. Madman, a fucking madman. You go and make some money. Go down to the city and get a job as a solicitor and 25 million a year, plus bonuses, and just rip the whole system off and make a mint and just retire into your swimming pool. Chase girls in bikinis around and around to your old man tripping over your beard, trying to catch up to them, and rub your hands up and down their thighs and take their knickers down and turn them over and kiss them and make them smile and give them lollies and go on, stick it up between their thighs, and that's the ultimate of wine, women and song, a pitiless, worthless crap of an existence that we're all trained to aspire to, and that's why the resistance, we escaped to get something useful going. Beyond 2. Okay. Well, we found this film and this black diary, and it gives the whole story. Now, Heydrich von Heydrich, that was his name. That was the Prime Minister. He climbed up the ladder, the scales. He climbed up the wine, women and song over the backs of the animals. The animals? I'm disgusted with the way people use that word for humans who've gone awry. Insult to the animals, and for which you will be tried when they sit on the jury and you come up before them. Believe me, I told you. All parts to catch. Yes, I can see it now. I can see it now. What? Well, you know what's happened, don't you? You've been acting out the whole part in front of the conference. You've been subconsciously absorbed. You've become the parts. Yeah, the professor, the lecturer, the superintendent, all of you. You're using the desk and the lecture room as up here on the platform as a stage. Right? And we're the audience. The Oxford students are the audience, and we don't want you to throw tomato. Quick, quick, throw it at them to get rid of these bastards. Fucking useless pricks. It looks like Cecil Parker.
Look, put your finger in the centre of the painting, in the area. It's the vulva area, the vagina, the V, the C, the clitoris. That's the secret. That's the code. Put your finger in it. Look. The painting opens. The night. Look. There's the recording. It's going round and round and speaking. Of course, he recorded this. Then he went out, had amnesia. Then he went back. There's the footsteps. He found his own tape and he listens to it. That's what he does, you see? Right in the middle, this bit here. I've got it. Listen. Yeah, this is what happened at the gates of heaven, he called it. Right, now, finds this tape again. Yeah, so you can see the significance of it, can't you? The smashed vein. Yeah, it was opened. That's the significance of the metaphorical words that she slit the throat of the vein. That's the expression, right? Now, as you can work out, he he sees he was sitting in the chair in the middle in front of the area that opened, the vaginal code in the painting. It was erotic, sexual imagery being used to code it.
Christ of Galilee, see? Yes, ego. Ego made him do it. Yeah, it's the world, the people. It was the pastoral message he had. He should have retired to the Kashmir and written a book instead of becoming a revolutionary. Is thee, you silly little pupils. Today I've given you the answer. Sycophants, the disciples, they pushed him into Galilee, taunted him, dared him, the devil dared him. Reverse direction. Devil said, I tempt you, and he said, I'll show you. It was ego, and he went in, and they crucified him, executed him. Or did they? Did they, or did the Jews send him through the corridor? Changed his name, faked him. See? Got away from the sycophant's negligence and recklessness and jealousy that impelled him into crossing the border, where he was shot down. Mary split him. He escaped, and that's the cover story you've read in the Bible. Of course. I-1912 escaped. Superintendent of the hospital tower in Brighton, and scientist. The chart. All this, the chart, showing one side to the other, crossed the divide and found the power, the spirit inside every one and each of us, and it's the individual. Direct. Informs the brain. Projects. It's a system. And came in, and Claire. Yes. We went to the area. Area 51. Audrey was there, beckoning. He escaped and left the trail. The breadcrumbs. Yes, the Hansel and Gretel fairy tale. Snow White, a black queen. Yes, of course. The same. Lucifer, Paradise Lost. Yes, it was a parable. A parable. losing our knowledge of the soul, of God, and getting back to it again, finding it and using it and living, moving on. As the door closed and I made my way, yes, I was Superintendent Glass, the Prime Minister, all these characters that made the play, all the characters in search of the play that showed him Plato's cave. The shadows and the wall came in and scrunched me and crucified me in, and I escaped through the corridor and came up the area and saw him, Professor, at Oxford, here, Magdalene's, the college, Magdalene. I saw on the window the Christ had turned, and there the image of Mary Cameron. I heard the echo as I went in. We are married in the 16th century on the Isle of Wight, the chapel in Newport, the night I was your knight, and the surf, suicide, the cliffs, he never came back again from the Middle East until this lecture today. And look at him, there he is, he's coming up the path, it's the professor. Fucking get out of here, get out of this lecture theatre. Look, my God, look at him, he's coming up. Where's the dossier? Where's his dossier? What's he done with it? He's lost it. I don't know, let's get out of here. We can't get out, we're locked in, we're shut in this lecture theatre in Oxford, this conference in College Magdalen, and we've got to listen to him. Shut up, hush. Watch him. Listen. He saw the red-haired woman, red-haired gold. XYZ. Hear it? Chromosome. The hidden chromosome. The junk. Extra DNA. Left out of the autopsy, of the anatomy. It was left out of the anatomy. Examined it. I. X, Y, Z. Yes. The same as Suzanne. The same as Mary Cameron. All portraits in a row. The same. Pretty maidens all in a row. I remembered it now. The rhyme. Coarse. Cockle shells. Pretty maidens all in a row. That was it, of course. There were the portraits. They were in line. The line. Magdalene's line. Of course. Suzanne had 2 children. That was the clue. That's what linked to the barracks. Sandhurst. Mary Cameron was Suzanne. A false name. I'd put her in the asylum. Of course, the asylum was Area 51 that led through a tunnel past Audrey, she'd indicate, to Area Cell 54, the theatre. All the action took place in there. The music box. The shale. Yeah, the diagram of the brain. There it was. Yes, it had to be expiated. It was the extra area. The administrative law experience I had came in and was of value now. I thanked for my education. It gave me the mechanics, the tool, and yes, I remembered now. They failed to take into account the relevant consideration. The DNA, the extra DNA they'd excluded and that they called junk. Yeah, the Tsar's family, the protein. Yes, they'd excluded this extra area, and it was in there that was the pirate machine. That was the revolution, the revolutionary turning machine. Yeah, the rocket. That was the invention. It turned inside, of course, round and round like a Catherine wheel, and flew, as it were. Flew. The words to the face of Magdalene and Christ, to the cave, came to me now. It was in the evidence. I'd seen it in the video. Yes. It had been said by the actress. No, by Peter the actor. Of course. That's what it was. It was evidence of what was seen in the cave. The shadows. Plato's and all this. The triangle it was. It was in there. Dark shadows. All this evidence had been excluded. It didn't exist, so the decision was null and void. The decision made in the lab that purported to match Anastasia with, the factory girl was null and void. It hadn't taken into account the extra that had been excluded. Of course, that was it. The lab test had doubled a strip. It had been contaminated in original form and damaged, and they'd had to double. Of course, in the case of the Tsar's family, they'd excluded 3-4% because it was so corrupted. Yes. And it was in that area that the pirate machine, the DNA, the unique, previously uncharted area, undiscovered, area that connected the link to Area 51 and Cell 54. Well, there were the portraits. They showed the ancestors. And that was the series of matches that had been excluded and not seen by the lab technicians. Yes, of course, when they'd done their stories. So it became apparent now to me that Suzanne was Mary Cameron. Suzanne had 2 children. Mary Cameron had 2 children. 2 children, the same DNA, XYZ, revealed in Richard Marble and Suzanne. The difference in ages. The evidence was that one was 37, 40. One looked like Mary, So there was the DNA in the portrait, the resemblance. Yeah, that had been seen in the staircase going up when he'd entered. Of course. I saw it now. So that meant that Lady Diana, according to the evidence, was in there in the barracks. Yes, my intuition was going again. I knew. I had to prove it. Lady Diana was the corpse. The reference. The prostitute. This evidence, so-called, was all a cover-up. It went right up to the judge and the church. Of course, the whole thing was a sham. There was no physical evidence. It was just written out as a report from the inquiry in 1936 and presented and covered as evidence. And Lady Diana had come back now, with them all, in the present. So that we could listen. 2014. I tried as the world went by, and I knew I'd die one day. I cried for you, and it's your turn to cry for me. Who's sorry now? Who's sorry now? Oh, I see. She said she cut his throat open so he could breathe. Right. Okay, well, that comes before the hanging, doesn't it? Well, no, he was hanging. Yeah, by the rope, and she cut his throat from behind. He says it. Well, oh, I see, Detective. I see, I get it. He was hanging in the painting. He was hanging in the painting, his back against the curtain. And she flicked it across and cut his throat. And he dropped. Cut him down and he dropped. Yes, said the superintendent. So, Detective, you see, he was transferred to the cross. The Christ, his hands outstretched, nailed, as it were, against the wall or against the back of the painting. Yeah, and a rope around his neck, 'cause he was the coat hanger idea, the bat, and it was hanging the painting stretched from a nail, but he imagined it hanging his hands and his neck. He was hanging by the neck, Richard Marble, and he fell down. The water, the electricity flash pointed, and I see. So the back door, this wall, opened automatically when we came in, and, well, when he came in, who was he? Who was he, Detective? Well, me, it was I. Were you? I thought it was Richard Marble. Let me thumb through these notes. Right, okay. Oh, there's a description. There's a similar description. The identity is similar to thine, to ye. Oh, God, you've broken out into Old Testament English again, Superintendent. You're from the 18th, 19th, 16th century or something, when Elizabeth, they say, was a man. Oh, my God, it's the poem. Look, just have a look at the poem, the introductory line, the stanza, the opening stanza. In ancient days, can't you speak again? It's the teeth are falling out. It's an open hole between my front teeth. It's starting again, an earthquake, and read it quickly. In ancient days there was a Fortune teller, quickly, get over here at the table. Now, come on. Move your hands around the palm, around that triangle, that glass. Quick, now, speak. Or get the face out to speak, the voice. In ancient days there was a craze. That's right, when God looked down in the purple haze and saw Christ and Magdalene and David in his cave. I see, that's it, giving his confession. Right, this is a psychiatry. Okay, now look, that's what happened. It's a transmigration from ancient days, the Old Testament days, the David house, the house of David, or the Greek Delphic oracle, it says here, the Greek goddess, the pagan goddess suppressed by the Christian rituals. I get it. It's come through, it's emerged, it's oozed out. Mary Cameron oozed out of the coffin. I see. That's what it means. Her presence moved out. Her essence, I see it, returned. Well, Freud says the mother's influence dies her orbit at 12, and then the father's influence comes into what, 65, and then the mother comes back, and there's dual too. Right, they're on the throne together. Well, what do you say? Well, it seems as if in mythology that talking about a DNA sequence. The DNA sequence, it goes down this line. Antoinette, Anastasia's involved. Right through from ancient days. And I see, what's it called? Well, the original parchment was called Miragold of Mars. Mars? Oh, I see. Then it became Miragold of the Stars, but Miragold of Mars is the clue. You see, there's two. Look in the mirror. This Snow White Jersey Black Queen mirror. White and black. It's symbolised. Look, you're looking at her now. There she is. There's how he symbolised it, the woman in black. I see. Look, there's the black knickers, right? It's the same woman. And now she's in white. And it's neck to neck, side by side. It's Da Vinci's painting. And the child, two child of two in one of Magdalene. I see the statue, the bronze, there it is. He put it over, and it's forecasts this revelation of the battle of angels, because Mary, Miragold of Mars, the Black Queen, has been suppressed. She's the image on the island. That's what it's saying. You go through this DNA wound in the Christ side to the suppressed woman. Woman has been suppressed. It's about the history, the Boadicea, the pagan goddess. She's come back. The oracle, Delphi, they've taken revenge in the Battle of Mars. I see. She's Jersey. Two in one. The white-black queen. They're the same, except they alternate in the mirror of the soul. Look, he looked in. The writer of... Yes, Mark. Yes, the writer of the New Testament. It mirrored him. The Christ. White and black, black and white. That's what you're trying to do. Discover. Use it. Use that crystal triangle, that ball, and make it happen. Make us see the tape record the visuals again. And we'll solve this. Crack this nut. It's H.G. Wells, D.H. Lawrence. No, it's the other way round. H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, D.H.L. T.W., Tennessee Williams, and the poem Miragold. Read it out. Read it all. It's the clue. The poem came in a bottle. Right. Now we may get somewhere, Detective Superintendent. It's you. Your name. Detective Glass. That's the clue. When they're in harmony, you're okay. When the black keys get out of hand, the black queen keys get out of hand, it's high-pitched intensity. That's the meaning. A correlation between sound and the written word. You interpret by the piano. Sound in the painting. See it played, you put your finger into the button area there, yeah, the V, and listen. This nearly was mine. This nearly was mine. This nearly was mine. This tidy was mine. Right. The pirate, or the imprisoned lawyer. Quick, get in your car, take off. Come on, quick, crash! God, band-aid it! Oh my God, it's an accident. Car's crashed. She said she cut his throat open so he could breathe. The nurses, the nuns. Yeah. Well, the maid tells that her version is that J.D. preferred... I could hear the tape going in the background. I remembered what had happened. Parts had been found all over Britain. And that was a tape recorder that had been taken of the interviews and everything that I'd heard. I was listening. I was a psychiatrist at that point of... at that turn. Now a psychologist. I ditched the other profession. I didn't like it anymore, and I thought I was a British diplomat in 1936. After school in 1962 and 63. Lindsay and Washington had been the book. But now I looked at this latest psychohistory before me as the tape went round and round in my room, and I waited for the detectives and the superintendent and the visiting psychiatrist and the forensic evidence, and, well, there was an expert coming from the autopsy lab assistant, and I think there was an expert in electricity coming, of course, from the police department. Yes, I waited for them all as I turned the pages of this book in front of me, and it showed male, female, these Plato it was about. He'd said that we were joined and you spend your life trying to find the perfect mate. Well, I'd tried when I was a psychiatrist. I'd found the gills. Yes, the symbols of this. Yes, there it was. But Carl Jung had said this, and Freud had said that, and this other psychologist, Depinner, had said that. And I looked at these things. I was new. I was David Saber, the producer, and psychologist 1 in 2, 2 in 1. 2. That's it. Yeah, quick. I was trying to listen to that tape. Here they come. Here, they're visiting now. I remember now. Richard Marble, of course. He hid Emily in the back room all the time, and they thought that she was murdered. They couldn't work out which one was the body because the chromosomes were crossed over, Y and X, and they thought it'd been James Devine's tomb, but it'd been mine. I'd substituted, I'd killed, and plastic surgery changed, and now I was David Saber, and I'd been the Crown Prosecutor earlier, a Crown Prosecutor going up to London, and Emily had I'd hid, and Suzanne I'd produced a twin. Her twin, and the picture I'd done. I'd painted a picture and put it on the front of the wall. It was a picture of the most gorgeous, beautiful Vera Miles, the actress I had seen when I'd been 12, 15 cadets, and I'd been contemporaneously imagining I was a British diplomat in school. And I'd seen her, and I'd reached out to her, save me, help. But I'd realised now that she was 20 years older, and I'd pleaded with the fortune teller who was coming now to work a spell, make the time change into 1952, when she was 20 and I was... No, that wouldn't be any good. She'd have to move it forward. I'd have to make myself 20 and she 30. Change the time, fortune teller, please. In the tent, the circus, the V. It was a wigwam. And it was put on a map of Atlantis, which I saw as an island. And the island was it was referred to in Plato, but what he meant was that it was a simile. It was about the island in the person you reach to, get past this persona in Zen smashed and reach out and open the door and go in and find your store. Here they come. I could hear the footsteps in the dripping rain. They're coming. The tape's becoming louder. I'm listening to it. I can hear it. I remember the World War. The poem, the mirror gold. It was a mirror. A gold mirror. The looking glass. And Alice looking down into the vein. Yes, the tunnel. And now they were coming and I could see Emily in the other room and a space-time opened and I disappeared. Zoom!
This one. Yeah, this is the one.
And left. I could hear them.
Yeah, we've got it.
And now I'd look from the other side, through the transparent room, the curtain, and look on at them and listen.
We're getting there fast, aren't we, Superintendent? Where, I thought, as I looked at the Superintendent and looked into his eyes, I felt I was looking into a mirror, really. We were on a par, really, same wavelength when it came to intuition, and we solved this case. I picked up my hat and I looked at him, and as I turned back I thought, we'll crack this case, Superintendent, if it's the last thing I do. I liked Emily. When I looked at her and saw her in that house in the picture, I fell for her. She was like... I was drunk that morning. I got waylaid by a highwayman. A highwayman! He couldn't speak again. I woke up dumb, deaf, blind, and there was Anne Savage in detail, attacking me with a knife. Paranoid, the Black Queen. White. Children too, and Suzanne. Vera Miles. I'd done the painting during the night, unconsciously drunk. I couldn't even remember. I got stuck in it behind. I'd fallen in, as it were, it felt like, and I got trapped in the paint and the oils on the surface of the canvas, and I couldn't get out. I was suffocating. I was dying. I screamed like psycho, dangling from a rope, hanging as the light went round and round and back and forward, and I couldn't get out. I was stuck in the painting and I died. And the next morning when the detectives and they came in and saw me, there I was, like the portrait. Yes, just a body stretched out like a swastika, hands up. And I was locked, frozen as it were, like ice, except it was oil painting, and my whole body, thighs, loin, was glued and stuck forevermore, like a fly in the painting. And I tried to move and swivel and swivel, and I got as far as the drawing, hands out like a Christ, and I heard them arrive. I went up the steps. There they were, Evil and Liv. Yes, the actresses. Yes, Pat, there she was. Yep. Taxi went by, coughed, and I sputtered and fell on the floor and forward and reached out and tried to get them, and they went mad. They were saying that we're doing your... Yes, we're doing your... Couldn't finish the words, it didn't rhyme. We're doing your rhyme, she said. That's the word itself. Yes, we're
doing it for you so you can see. Who? Doctor Who? Who? Von Heydrich. Von Heydrich. I wasn't Von Heydrich. I was Von Heydrich, but I was Heydrich's brother. Not him, not evil. I was good. He was the twin, the other who massacred everyone. His was a monster, and I wasn't him. Well, I was ticking away. Yeah, that's what it was. Yep. Well, he used it as a defense, yes. You see? Oh, boy. Okay, well, I've been looking through these papers, you see. I'm not called Superintendent Glass for nothing. Been going through them. Victorian era. Yes. God. Soup in my moustache has made me sick as I lick the ends. I've been up till midnight. There's that bomb again in the corner. Quick! Silence. Try and find it. Having any luck? It's not a bomb. It's something's transferring, Super. This wall, I've found a lever. It's opening. There's a corridor. Yes, look, there's marks and etchings of an old painting. We can trace it. I can trace it with my fingernail. I'll trace round it. I'll slip my nail into it and follow it around. My God, it's forming a saint. I've touched something. It's going to explode. Get out of here, quick! It hasn't gone off yet. Where's it? Quick, sneak back in and see if you can do something. I'm scared as my throat. It's a little silver plaque here, Super. As I get the dust out of the way, it says Princess 1898. Well, hang on, 1897 to 8. There's a note here. Oh, etched into the dirty silver old plaque. It's like the opening of a gold mine. Scratch away. It says Battle of Angels. Scratched into it. Quick, get out. I'm going down through the tunnel. I can't get out the other way. I think the bomb's up in the office where you are, Super. I'm getting out of here. I'm crawling through. My stomach. I'm gonna get. There's a trapdoor. Quick, wrench it open. God, it's the back of a portrait. Good Lord, I could just make out the sketch of a woman's bottom. Black. No lights. Can hear the surf. The background. The area. Listen. Ghosts. Ridiculous. Quick, every time it goes, there's some... Got another wall's opening. It's a brick wall. Slide it across, quick. Put the palm of your hands over it, quick. The sooner we get further away. It's not a bomb. It's a trigger opening these extra layers of walls, and it's saying that evidence I remember now in the dossier. The witches. Red hair. Inferno. Blue, the witches. Can't remember now. blew the witches. Something connected inside. It was like, my God, there's a floor. Look, a level, 1912. No, it's just 1912, it says. It's going down. It's like, it's moving like lifts. Gradually, sliding, going down. Quick, quick, get your magnifying glass out. Oh, there we go again. It's going faster now. Down, down, down. 1912. It's the first one. Now what? 1897. Down. My God, it's sped up. We're down to 1215. My God, there's a picture of Christ. Look, crucifix against the wall. Black loincloth. That's unusual. Perhaps they portrayed it wrongly in the present. In the Middle Ages, in the centuries. Seems like an old effigy. Yeah, scratch away at it. Scratch away at that wound on the right. Well, it's on the left if you put your back to it and face out. Pretend to be it, like an actor or an actress. Actress? Well, I was just thinking of my mother and my father, and as if they were prototypes for the script that we found. There it is again. Quick, it's opening. Quick, the Christ area is. My God, it's split down the middle. It's opening on either side. It's like rock and shale, and there. My God, there's a whole area opening, and my God, I can see. Who's that woman? It's Sister Audrey, isn't it? Audrey. I've seen her picture in the. Of course, she's beckoning to us, and all the actors and actresses it was an acting family, wasn't it? David disappeared completely. Yes, he was in Who's Who of America. And the whole family, I think, were actors and actresses, and this script we found up there, it was on the superintendent's desk, and he was twirling his mustachios just when this sound started, and everything went bang, bloom, bang. And this... The script, what was it called? The Pringles. Was it? Well, there was another page. Quick, go, get in. Hurry up. Quick, follow that sound. That's the answer. Follow the sound. Follow it. It's electricity. Quick, follow it. It's not 6 o'clock. It's 9. It's turned round. Quick, turn it. It's a sticker. Philpot. Yeah, turn it right to left. Round. It's opening. It's a safe. Quick. Open it, quick. It's going to explode. You open the safe, you fool. This whole surface. It's opened up and... We're going in. Stop. Listen. Two detectives in the future. Listen to the house in 1936. 37, 38, 39. Levels are going up. 10. Electrified the house. 'Cause there was a mention of a fire. There it goes. There was a mention of a fire. Boom! In 1897. The whole house... God, perhaps it blew up inside, and the fire masked the true cause, and it was burnt to the ground. Listen, we'll find out. That's what I found, and then there were these other notes. This is from the newspaper. Crown, prosecution, meltdown. A barrister today warns about the cost of stress on the staff who end up taking sick leave to cope with pressures, and cases were 5 to 6 deep across the whole desk. So that's why they're never done. That's why it's been taking 2.5 years to hear anything, to get anything done at all. That's what it's all in here. It's in here. It's like a message communicated from the dead. It says here, they've now been relocated to the cupboard. The cupboard. Okay. Well, now we know. I'm sorry to have to be blunt, the barrister said, but the unit's in meltdown. Hang on. The plane. Meltdown. Meltdown? This plane melted in midair, didn't it? All we found was the flight recorder. The film. The film. Filming. The operating theatre. The rescue team. It's piecing itself together, Superintendent. Sarge! Sarge! Get that bit over here, will you, please? Get the film in. Get the director. Start rolling the film. Sarge! Sarge! That's better. I seem to remember, this is bringing it all back. It's coming back to me. I can remember it now. I mean, it says, it's catalytically, I came to the bar to practice law properly. Blocked. District Court. District Court. I mean, what's that ether? What's that? District Court. Louise, court, judges, court, quick, give me the, it was the plane caught on fire, I can